Dear friends and colleagues, dear members of Ziv family, Yaakov Ziv was an outstanding researcher and academic leader. He held all the senior academic positions at the Technion and in Israeli academia, culminating in being the chair of the Planning and Budgeting Committee and the president of the Israel Academy of Sciences and Humanities. In all of them, he excelled. Yaakov Ziv served as president of the Academy from 1995 to 2004. He was my president. And as I was elected to the Academy during his final year in office, I was captivated by his personality, and later I was blessed with his friendship. He was wise, gentle, modest, knowledgeable, had a fine sense of humor, a man of integrity, and was a true friend. We used to meet every few months in a fish restaurant in Tel Aviv and talk about life, world affairs, and matters concerning the Academy. The depth of his understanding of the scientific world was truly remarkable. He grasped the broader picture while mastering the details, and he knew well how to advance things, both in his dealings with the politicians he worked with and in his relationships with university presidents, members of the Academy, and the academic community at large. In 2015, he outlined his academic philosophy in an interview which was published in Igeret, the Academy's bulletin. He emphasized 2 points that I would like also to highlight before you. The first concerns the balance between the demand for academic excellence and the aspiration to make higher education accessible. The second relates to the proper path for developing scientific research. I will briefly refer to Yaakov Ziv's position on these matters. As to the first point, Yaakov pointed out that there is a structural problem in Israel's higher education system, which stems from the fact that the system has two main functions. One is social, to supply the workforce needed by industry and the economy, and to raise the general educational level of the population. The second is to promote scientific research. The problem is that these two functions each require entirely different mechanisms, even different worldviews, and at times they conflict and come at each other's expense. To fulfill the first goal, he explained, a regulator was established, the Council for Higher Education. The Council is the government's instrument for ensuring that the system provides what the government needs. It sets minimum criteria for degree programs and monitors that academic institutions meet them. It also serves as a governmental tool to advance certain social goals, for example, affirmative action for deprived population. But to achieve the second goal, namely promote excellence in research, a completely different mechanism is required. Here, we are not looking for those who meet the minimum requirements, but for the best, and we want to give them the maximum, even at the expense of others. The big question, then, is how to achieve both goals at once, and how to prevent one from undermining the other. This is a dilemma in all countries, not just in Israel. The idea of colleges in Israel was meant to emphasize undergraduate teaching and less research and excellence in advanced degrees. As a result, the public component began to outweigh the research component. It became harder to maintain investment in research and excellence, and the system threatened to lose its balance. Professor Ziv proposed to address the problem by fixing a certain percentage of the higher education budget that will be permanently dedicated to academic research. This has not yet been implemented, and maybe it can serve as a good idea for the new chair of the Planning and Budgeting Committee, Professor Ami Moyal. And now to the second point. Who should decide which scientific field to develop? This is Yaakov's approach. When it comes to research topics themselves, it is the younger researchers who best understand where science is heading. As a Marconi Prize laureate, he recalled, "I was once invited to an event at the Technion where scholarships were awarded to young scientists by the foundation that grants the prize. Other Marconi Prize winners from abroad were there too. We sat on a panel, and of course, the classic question was asked, where do you think we are heading? What does the future hold? I said that if you want to know where we are heading, don't ask the Emeritus professors, ask the young people. We must let them flow with their ideas, but give them the tools and framework to conduct meaningful research. As for predicting new trends, any PhD graduate knows at least as well as I do which way the wind is blowing." And another significant insight of Yaakov, which should serve as a guide for every university, is the following. Overall, because technology changes so rapidly today, universities must emphasize basic studies. Research and applied fields are constantly shifting at great speed. Without a strong foundation in the basic sciences, mathematics, computer science, physics, chemistry, biology, researchers won't be able to advance independently or change direction when needed. They might find themselves lost in a few years. This is the end of citation. Believing in the young generation and building rich scientific infrastructure to enable to accomplish scientific goals is a basis, prerequisite for our academic success. Indeed, our eyes are directed even more than ever towards our young scientists. Nowadays, many of them have doubts where to pursue their academic path. Israel and Israeli science are currently facing exceptional challenges: war, democratic crisis, boycotts against Israel and its scientific community, and a brain drain. Jewish and Israeli community abroad is also facing unprecedented problems. The fortification of Israeli science could serve as a driving force for the country's recovery and for attracting both Israeli and foreign scientists, shaping science policy in the spirit of Yaakov Ziv, a spirit grounded in vision, understanding, free liberal thinking, integrity, and Zionism could help restore both Israeli science and the State of Israel. Thank you, dear Yaakov, for shaping Israeli science and for your wonderful friendship. We really miss you. Thank you.